Alright, let's do this. Oh man, logically,
Hold it!
logically. All the evidence, you say? That's right. There's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Interesting, you're giving us the look around option here. So this is gonna come up. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence. Don't worry, the summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there will be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock. You there?
Hold it!
This isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas, and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? Yeah. It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. I might interject here. Ah, yes, madam. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. It is precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man! Not guilty. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing a what? Curb your racism. Utterly unforgivable. Curb your racism, ma'am. No, Mr. Natsby isn't the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go on, adding more crimes. Mr. Natsby hasn't been poisoning tea either. But anyway, I've quite made up my mind. I've made it as the price of gas. Okay, ma'am. Explodes and can poison. Would we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I'd take poison over gas any time. You take poison? What I mean is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it? Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man. Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. I think you will find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Ah! You're right. I hadn't considered that at all. Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. Oh dear. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past. Okay. I appreciate the sentiment, but can we focus on the crime?
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack on the way here, in case you haven't noticed, against my company's gas. I mean, I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. Psst. To her credit, yes, everyone else is talking about the gas, so why wouldn't she defend herself? All I've heard about our wonderful fuels, explosions, and poisoning. What about electricity? What about getting electrocuted? What about that? Little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. I don't think that means as well as you think it does. Oh dear. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. Not quite exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies. Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square. Indeed. Nobody's questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? If they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver the gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. And they make a contract with the households supplied by those pipes, and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' homes to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of those devious companies has been up to its tricks. Oh?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Juror number 3? Oh, golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking very aggressively to yourself. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see. Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for your cooperation when we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in. And do you know what he did? I'm afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everyone knows. It was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes. It's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Ah, I see. In other words, oh, that ties back to what Mr. Garrett was saying about the lights flickering. The lights flickering. This process would be indistinguishable from what he was describing when someone comes home and fires up their gas, and the lights flicker briefly to account for the new source of gas against the house. This functionality would be indistinguishable from that. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, we know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might. You can guess what happened, can't you? No, I can't. If he blew hard, then... wait, you mean... That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out. Along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. Oh, okay, that's kind of fucked. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. Afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. What has Soseki-san been telling us has been happening? And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes. This is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3. The defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to diddle us. Ma'am, like I said, madam, it's widely known already. Very well. Juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly. This is a fun one. Yes, my lord, though I'm not really sure what the point of all this is.
Hold it!
When you say extinguish everything in the house, do you mean... Even on different floors? Oh yes, all floors are connected to the same pipe after all. You know what we're thinking? That's true of every building. These gas supply contracts are issued for whole properties. Well, I had no idea it was possible to extinguish gas appliances by simply blowing down the pipe. It's not something we like to publicize, to be honest. We have to carry out these investigations. So as I'm sure you can appreciate. Indeed. It's been mentioned on more than one occasion in the papers, even. Is that so? It's been mentioned to me, too. Very recently. Incident involving the gas stove going out inexplicably, almost leading to someone's death. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, it's finally starting to fall into place. A secret link that joins all of these strange occurrences.
Hold it!
You mean it's poisoned?
That's right, it's happened a tiny few times now.
This is most troubling indeed.
It's always days like this one. I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? Is here doing it, my wife.
She gets that devilish look on her face and she slips some white powder in my cup. That is called sugar. And you drink it anyway?
I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it.
What happened to you? What did it taste like?
It was god awful, believe you me. Salty as hell.
Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt.
No.
So she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh?
Unbelievable.
Ah, yes. Yes. Let's move on then. The straits are not okay. If nothing else past the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Oh, don't do that. Not yet.
Hold it!
Does that mean that the victim could be shown to have ingested something else? You change your leaning. Sorry. What's that now? Oh, I was just saying, if the victim did actually eat or drink something else in the night... What's the matter with you? Sorry? I said, if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, then there's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all? There's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here. Compared to the other jurors who don't even appear to hate anything, have anything to say about the case at all. It seems that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently. Smart man. I suppose the trouble is, he has selective hearing? Exactly. But still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. This is hopeless. No way for me to appeal to these people. I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation by exposing the way in which Mr. Shakespeare was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way, and not via Mr. Natsume's tea. Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen. Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten. Oh, like what? It's important to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something someone else says. Would you like me to remind you exactly what I mean? I'd be more than happy to, of course. Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. I hardly owe it to my client to hear any advice that my assistant may be able to offer. Oh god. Then again, no need. We already did it once. Actually, I don't think there's any need. It's vital that we start trying to change these jurors' minds as soon as possible. Of course, I'm sure you're right. If you decide you would like your memory refreshed, you'd only ask, Mr. Naruhodo.
I wonder.
we present?
Hold it!
And we get back to... An explosion could be hotly described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. More devious? Who? The gas companies. Been through this conversation. Curious if this... One of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. You react? I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable. It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening. All the time, right here in this capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know? Very difficult indeed. Thank you, that will do. Clearly, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already. I concur. Though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Well, thank you so much. We'll turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, counsel. What if we pit you with number 3? No need. If we pit number 3 with number 6, we might be able to introduce that photograph.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Did you hear what juror number 3 just said? Eh? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling something or other. His eyes. There is another explanation here, I believe. And besides, Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips the night in question. What? What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene? To see if there were any traces of poison there. I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouth of a gas pipe. Scotland Yardists have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. Hold it! What? What a piece of work, I as a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what they say to these, Stop that. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord. Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Oh, is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him. For shame, madam, speaking, I fancy. I assure you I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
Boom. This is no summation examination. This is a farce. Prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips on the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are the empty assertions. But, dang, the combo. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
It's true. I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. Smack. I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence, then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. Alright, there's the proof that, time and time again, Mr. Shakespeare stood in front of his gas lamp.
Take that!
What the? These are... Oh, wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints, Counsel? I never heard of such a things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It reveals all of the places Mr. Shakespeare touched in his room. I never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, anyone could invent something like this. It's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shakespeare also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in the room. For example, here. Around the hanging picture there. Indeed. Multiple handprints appear to be visible. No safe because there's a lamp there. But I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where these prints are. You would find yourself directly in front of... I don't believe it. The gas lamp. The reason why isn't immediately obvious. It's clear that Mr. Shakespeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Roy, what have you been up to? No, you're not. I asked the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? I said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you recall juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shakespeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposefully caused the gas to...
Objection!
Gone too far for a brogue. Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination, I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zieks? This curious photograph, whatever it is, presented by the defense, so-called skin prints. Clearly that cannot be accepted as any form of useful evidence in this case. But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective. It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... Please, my lord, if I may... Mr. Zato? It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wished to present the results of the great detective's investigation at the scene as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Smart. And, if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen. I'm sure the jurors would agree. Smart. Influence the jury pool? You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Jury number 3. Yes, I do declare that the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. I want to hear what that shady actor has to say about those shady handprints. Bonk bonk.
What's the matter with you two? It was foolhardy.
Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise.
No, wait. You heard his lordship. It's not fair, dinkum evidence. Bonk.
Deadlock. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Just one more juror changes his or her mind. Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Mr. Sato. I couldn't have done it without you, literally. You spun that dang smoothly. Well played, Susato. Oh no. It was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success. Wrong, girl. This is all you. Oh, he's sweating. He's very sweating. Why, Mr. Shamspear? You seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Oh boy, what do we do here? Very well. Continue, counsel. Us, the jury. Let's press number 1 again.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say?
That's right. There's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache.
The defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events of the night in question. What do you make of that?
What? Your so-called skin prints?
It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique, developed by the great detective himself. Numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. Mr. Shamsbury had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question. It can't be denied there's a possibility that's where the poison was.
Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. As the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. Besides...
Yes?
Even if the fellow had been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans of the night in question, does it?
Oh.
You can't make your case better than that. I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
You make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. I'm sorry I was a little hasty. No, wait!
Look, got your chance here, have you? Haven't you? It's time to prove your theory. You and your Japanese cohorts can, that is.
Just leave our nationality out of this, please! Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid those jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Am I sure that Mr. Shamsper really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? We can do supporting testimony? No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it.
What's that? Testimony?
This is incredible! Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. The person whose testimony revealed details about the gas at the Garrett residence that night. Namely... I might get penalized for this. Presenting Soseki would be the reckless move. I feel like Mr. Garrett would be the right move.
Take that!
Well, Mr. Foreman, does that convince you? No, it doesn't. Because we got a generic conversation. Whew, I don't think he was listening.
Rest assured, counsel, I shan't let some nonsensical answers go without penalty. Ugh. I got away with it. Darn.
Who spoke with the gas the night in question? Yes, there was someone. That's what I thought too. I obviously chose the wrong person.
Well, I got two in my own head there. Alright. Alright, let's get down to it. Sounds like he spoke about his stoves going out. Can't prove it. He's on trial here. But obviously I'm talking about the defendant. Mr. Succ Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. Oh, he said this in court. I forgot about that. My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. From that fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shakespeare's room, lit my gas stove and climbed into bed. Before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. The night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, is it a mere coincidence or not? Good golly! So that Shakespeare fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose. Now, what draws is there? What would he do that for? Mr. Foreman! What the? What is it, man? I cannot allow judgment to be passed while this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree there is more to this case than meets the eye. Ugh. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset. A man of logic, first and foremost. It's 4 jurors leaning toward not guilty, my lord. You've overturned the decision. Therefore, defense calls for the trial to continue. I like that confidence. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty. 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted and in accordance with the law of the land. I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shakespeare. My lord, how can thy humble Shakespeare serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have made a tiny mess all over the wall there. I'd explain that, eh? Bottle. I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Oh, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
The prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison,
Objection!
what appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of the tea were required. Yes? Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making my analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow here have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived? There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Order, counsel. Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery thus far. Mr. Shakespeare wanted to end the life of obviously. If the gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. Well, I live around these parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garrett, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shakespeare was trying to end. Outrageous! Talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim, the man this man was trying to murder. Good gracious!
Objection!
Anger for spewing conjecture. The accused is actually the aggrieved? Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of this case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shakespeare's murderous designs? You mean to suggest? Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe was a clear retaliatory act. Can only have been the accused, Mr. Succ Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shakespeare may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is far greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Ah! Oh, we're right back where we started. One step forward, 1.5 steps back. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, remember the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. This may be our last chance to gain the advantage. Where do we even go from here? What advantage? It would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shakespeare's room. So he must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. I mean, name the true culprit. No, it must sound impossible, but if he failed to do that, no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate would be sealed once and for all. And we do here, as it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry. We know exactly what. There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this.
true culprit of this crime. Oh no, we're not doing this math, are we? The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives. Anybody's friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponi's friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? I mean... was the bottle that she had actually strychnine?
Take that!
Name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Mr. Counsel. I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. Incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe. I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shakespeare's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True. The night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in the hospital yesterday. We found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Oh, good gracious, she had poison? And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. Defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shakespeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never have heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shakespeare's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her, at least not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponi's friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. Prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Sorry, Olive. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent. I hope. Defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. At the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We will convene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. So, this has gone much worse than we first expected. I.e. Van Zeeks has had us. On the pillory. That is probably an extremely incorrect usage of that term. I've not cared. Joyful, jubilant, jumping, jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume. I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikitobe Esquire-S. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent, and proof that my tea's innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah, right on time. Ah, Airlock Gnomes. May you drink my tepid tea and forever fall silent. Thought the tea was innocent. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, you came! How wonderful! Please, save your tourism. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought. Tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all its own, does it not? Oh, yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep? I queried. Why, time after time, do they make the same foolish blunder? The answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results, I overslept. By first light, I was exhausted, and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. Good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose might prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah. Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task, as the bottle was near empty. But such inconveniences do not hinder shoals. I managed to confirm that it contains strychnine. Ah, so I was right. Perhaps. Though of course such circumstantial evidence does not prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now. But licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Alright. Slow-acting poison strychnine inside. That rat died immediately. Could I have a word? Oh, hello. Exit. How good of you to come. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. Fade back in. I don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. Look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please, speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector, of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Couldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean... the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room? A man by the name of... yes, Selden. Well, I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. Something in here that, well, caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? What? I've copied out the relevant parts for you. Oh, you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. Huh. Dying of illness in prison. These documents. 18 counts of burglary, 6 of suspected murder. Either natural causes while in prison is found once witnessed only by cellmate. £1,000 worth of loot remain unrecovered. Manchester's Strange Ways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes. Suffering with fever since the end of October, murdered by the shots of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Ah. What does this tell us? Wait, this is just a... I suppose all that really tells us is the motive. His loot remained unrecovered. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Oh, thank you. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though?
Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? Just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion.
Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful.
Indeed, my dear fellows. The inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown.
Shining diamond in the rough, maybe?
Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counts for the defense and the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make way inside the courtroom at once.
Oh boy.
Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest in the public gallery. Not nodding off at all. Certainly not.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache flood floods of tears personally. So, best of luck to you. Looking stood, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it?
Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shakespeare. This is going to be the final battle. Now it all comes out. I really have saved Soseki-san. I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. It's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to.
In for Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. For the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense, mainly that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores.
Thank you for that backhanded consideration.
Rather cold assessment from the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Van Zieks, is the new witness present and ready to take the stand? Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord.
Very well.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses in.
Oh, she's painting.
And you're here. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shakespeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only. Shut up. I be a tragic victim, to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words.
I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. I hope this failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose.
Also, currently unemployed, in other words. Coterie? I'll just pronounce it phonetically. Mr. Shakespeare, my lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. Possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I have put for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green.
Yes?
You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume.
Yes. The officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. And did you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't collect calls. I don't know anything about any poisoning. I don't know anything about this man.
Come, lady. Die. To live. Someone clip that out of context. Come, lady. Die. Really, I do not know. Very well, let's proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair.
It's all very strange. Very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I better ever go to the East End anyways. It so happens that I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. On the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in the hospital fighting for my life.
Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Garrett household.
incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife, through no fault of my own, and now I'm under suspicion. Other irrelevant things might I get suspected of. It's all very disturbing. Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, what appears to connect you with Mr. Shakespeare's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we'd like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened. Oh, no. Incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful accident? Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested in hearing from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shakespeare. Yeah, but what happened 6 days ago had nothing to do with me being poisoned. Because you sent her that note. Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. Finally, we're getting into the dual witness fun stuff. It was 6 days ago, at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakst. Why, I've bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business. Gonna kind of like jury pit here. We need her to enter in the card into the court record, and we need him to admit that he was at the tavern in question, and then the card will prove that he is involved. Then the envelope scrap we found in this room will substantiate that, and then we'll be cooking. He has a second incident inside a week. I believe it be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shakespeare. It was the following morning when I did awaken that I'd learnt of the dire events. Mary, what a commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine? When Succ was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected. There is nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they are unrelated at first glance. But I'm not so sure. Something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. This is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. Alright, let's do this. We'll do this next time, though. We're really getting into it now. Come on, come on. There we go. Very good. We're really getting there. Till next time, until then.